Good morning and Happy New Year. Kathy quit playing, so I guess that means it's time for me to say good morning. Pastor Steve is somewhere between Colorado and Albuquerque, New Mexico, helping his mom make her move the last parts of her belongings over to New Mexico to be with his sister, her daughter. So let's remember him in our prayers. I'm glad to see everyone here this morning, even though it was publicized that I was going to speak today. I didn't know if anyone would show up or not. It kind of reminded me of that old banquet story I used to tell as a coach, where I was speaking at a service club and it was supposed to start at noon. I got there about 11:40 and met with a guy that asked me to speak, and no one else was there. 11:45, no one showed up. 11:50, no one showed up. 55, I finally turned to him. I said, "Didn't you tell the people, the members, that I was going to be here?" He said, "Nah, Coach, but it looked like word got out." So, even though word got out, I'm glad to see y'all here. We're going to do a whole bunch of singing today. I'm going to give a very short message, or I'm going to talk for a little bit. As I always say, it'd be your decision to determine if it's a message or not. So I hope everyone's got their singing voice and their vocal cords limbered up. And I guess we're going to start right now. So let's stand, or as Pastor Steve says, if you're not comfortable standing, rise up in spirit, and we're going to sing "Go Tell It on the Mountain." Number 251, verses 1, 2, and 3. Please be seated. Today, in our time of prayers and praise and compassion, we're going to take a full minute to just be to ourselves, to pray for our concerns, give thanks for the good things in our life, and then after that minute, we're going to say the Lord's Prayer together. So I invite you to just be with you and your thoughts and your Lord. Please join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. You know, I was struck there with a couple of thoughts as we took that minute of silence for our own personal prayers. The first thought was I need a new battery on my watch because my second hand had quit working. The second thought was how little time we actually have silence and quiet in our life when a minute seems like it's a long time. It seems almost awkward that how many times where the TV isn't on, the radio isn't on, someone's not talking, that we have so little silent time in our life. Okay, we're going to move on to the next hymn, "Oh Come All Ye Faithful," number 234. Again, let's stand if you're all right with that. And if you want to sit down, sit down. I forgot we're going to be standing so much and singing so much today. So let's move on to the next hymn, number 245. When Pastor Steve asked me to stand in for him today, it was a couple weeks ago, I think, I told him that I would and would be happy to, although I knew as I was preparing for today, I'm also preparing for a leadership seminar I'm involved with and two college basketball games I'm supposed to broadcast. So if in the middle of this I start talking about zone offense or something of that nature, I've got a whole lot of thoughts bouncing around in my demented little mind. Today's January 2nd, which is no secret, although it seems like in this last week or so I've sure had trouble keeping up with what day of the week it was and the dates. I don't think this is official. I'm going to make it official. This is the official end of the holiday season. We've just finished what I think a lot of people would say is the most glorious time of the year, those 5 weeks, although I'm very cognizant of a lot of people struggle during the holiday seasons. It all starts with Thanksgiving, which is very appropriately named because that's the day we pause with family and friends, given that they have a vaccine, that is, and give thanks and count our blessings and have all those warm feelings with your family around and your friends around. Then for the next month, we bask in the Christmas season, the beautiful lights, shopping, if you like shopping. A whole lot of people at my house do, it seems. Good cheer, too many good baking goods that people deliver, like Gary Meekham's fudge. If you've never had it, don't get started. It's like cocaine. It's hard to get off of it once you get started. Until we celebrate the most holy day of our season, the Christmas Day, the birth of Jesus Christ. Just like the Christmas song says, it's the most wonderful time of the year. And then New Year's, a week later, out with the old and in with the new, where we all hope that this year is better to us and we're more blessed this year than we were last year. 5 weeks of warm feeling and Thanksgivingness. I've got great news. We're only 331 days away from next Thanksgiving. So we've got a little time to get ramped up. Many of y'all may recall the time, I can't remember, 2, 3, 4 years ago that I was up here and I talked about a exercise I used to use with my college basketball teams. And I didn't do it every year, but I did it several times. And it always came at a time where we were getting stale, I would say. They were tired of me, and I was pretty certain I was tired of them. And after practice, I would determine it was time to use this exercise, and I would instruct the student manager to put paper and pens in the lockers, and then after practice, after they showered, we would have a team meeting, and I'd say, take out your paper and pens. On the left-hand top of your paper, I want to put people and underline. And then in the middle, I want to put things and underline that. And then on the far right-hand side at the top, I want to put other. And under people, I want you to put a list of people that you're thankful for in your life. And typically, I'd look at those later, and they would say, family members, friends, teammates. Every once in a while, I'd find one and say Coach Cravens. Not very often. Usually the guys who wanted more playing time is when they put that in there. And under the second column, entitled Things, I'd say I want you to put all the things in your life that you're thankful for. And what I found was kind of interesting, at 20 to 21 years old, they didn't have a lot of things. We got a lot of things. With a wife and 2 daughters, my Lord, we've got a bunch of things at my house. But they would put CD players, new tennis shoes, maybe an automobile. The third column, under Other, I would have to help them a little bit. I would say things that you can't touch, intangibles. Freedom, opportunity, love, education. And this made them think a little harder than what some of them would like to think. But when we got done with that, I would say, okay, here's the last part of the exercise. Tonight, before you go to bed, I want you to take that list home with you, and I want you to read it tonight. In the morning when you get up, I want you to read it the second time. At lunch, I want you to have your lunch and read this list one more time. The last time, right before you come into the gym for practice, I want you to read it the fourth time. And I didn't do this every year because it kind of gets redundant if you do it every year. But when I have done it, it's amazing the results. I would get in a position where I could watch guys walk into the gym for practice that day, and they were smiling. They looked like they were looking forward to coming to practice. They had a little snap in their step. And we would have about 3 or 4 days of terrific practice. I mean, positive, upbeat, energetic. It was really an amazing exercise. But kind of like us after the holiday season, those great feelings of Thanksgiving and being thankful for what they had soon faded. Being thankful or giving thanks is mentioned 139 times in the New Testament alone. The book of Psalms, my favorite book in the Bible, as I know it is many of you, is almost entirely devoted to the theme of thanksgiving. I guess at some point during the holiday season around Christmas, we had, or many of us had a chance to watch one of the most iconic Christmas movies in our lifetime, White Christmas. And I say in our lifetime, I didn't realize until I looked it up, that movie came out in 1954. That was the year I was born, by the way. But I love the scene where at the end, Bing Crosby and Rosemary Clooney sing Count Your Blessings instead of sheep. When I'm worried and can't sleep, I count my blessings instead of sheep, and I fall asleep counting my blessings. And this is my favorite verse because we can all relate to this years past, or maybe not that many years past. When my bankroll is getting small, I think of when I had none at all, and I fall asleep counting my blessings. I think about a nursery, and I picture curly heads, and one by one, I count them as they slumber in their beds. If you're worried and cannot sleep, just count your blessings instead of sheep, and you'll fall asleep counting your blessings. You know, and every time I watch that movie and that scene, or every time I even read these, I think, you know, it makes you happy to be thankful. You know, when you take a few minutes to think how lucky we are. I mean, it just plain makes you feel good, I think, inside. Kind of like making a 20-foot putt, Gary, which doesn't happen to me very often, but, you know, I mean, it's kind of like this great song by Irving Berlin here. My favorite personal story of giving thanks, or one that always comes to mind when I'm thinking along these lines, and this should maybe be entitled The Cup Half Full instead of Half Empty. And some of you have heard this story before. It's when I was still a college coach and I was in Las Vegas at a big recruiting event in July, and it was a typical Las Vegas day in July, you know, about 110 or 12 or something like that. And I was in between gymnasiums. I stopped and went into a 7-Eleven to get something to drink, and as I came out, a gentleman had come up and sat kind of on the curb close to the door, and he looked like he was pretty much down on his luck. I don't know whether it's correct to assume he was homeless or not, but I would guess he probably was. And our eyes kind of met as I came out the door, and I noticed he had one shoe on. And I said, "Partner, did you lose a shoe?" He looked up at me and grinned real big, and he said, "Nope, I found one." And I thought, now there is a guy that is very thankful. You know, it's very hard not to be thankful or not to be happy when you're thankful. I mean, think about that. It's very hard not to be happy when you're thankful. Being thankful is a habit, maybe the best habit that we could ever have. And then when it's a habit, it turns into an attitude. And then that attitude starts defining who we are. And there's several people out there, I think, that fits, when you're smiling and happy, and you almost want to say, there's that crazy old Kay Gruce again. She's always happy. I wonder what the heck is wrong with her. She must have something on me, because every time she sees me, she smiles. I don't know what it is. It might be a photograph of some kind. Well, these next 331 days, let's make a commitment to be more thankful and contribute to our own happiness. Remember, it's hard not to be happy when you're thankful. So let's do ourselves a favor, and all of us work on being more thankful. Let's be like the old guy in Vegas, my friend. Let's be thankful we got two shoes instead of his just one. We can all do better, including me. May God bless us all during this new year. Thank you, and amen. Offering time. Please stand for our doxology. Let's have a seat for the last two hymns, and we'll stand before we leave. The first one's 220, Angels from the Realms of Glory. 1 through 4. No, 1 and 4, I guess. Is that right, Tim? Yes, that's right. I didn't want Tim to throw his trumpet at me or anything like that. Next one is number 246, same 1 through 4, Joy to the World. This is my gift to you. It's about 9:33. When someone says, "What was church like today?" say it was like old Coach Craig, short and sweet. Let's stand. I guess I could say we're banking 25 minutes a day, so when Pastor Steve goes a little bit over, remember we kind of banked about 25 minutes today. So let's stand and say the benediction together. We are a community faithfully growing in church, loving like Christ and serving with Christ. All service is ended. Our life in Jesus Christ goes on and on. We go now in His name into all the world. May our light so shine and our joy be so Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.